Okay, we're going to try this again. Today we are going live with a good friend of mine, Genevieve Padalecki, at Now and Jen. She is an inspiration to me as a mother. She's a mother of three. She lives her life very consciously and tries to be more sustainable, which I'm really inspired by. Can you guys hear me now? Say yes if you can hear me. And we are going to talk with Jen. We're going to be both answering questions about the challenges of being a mom and trials and tribulations and little life hacks for you guys. And feel free to ask any questions that you guys want to know from us. And Jen is coming live. Hi!
Hi! It worked!
It worked. I think I had no sound before.
Well, I thought it was me, and so I kept taking my earbuds out, and I'm like, "Can I hear Nick? I can't hear. Is it me?" So I was like, "Oh no!" Um, uh, but here we are.
Yes, how are you? I
Um,
miss you.
I miss you too. It's so great to see your face. How are you? What's going on?
Just, you know,
Plugging away?
Groundhog Day every day,
I
mom life,
know. I
driving,
know.
school drop off, school pickup, school dramas, kid dramas,
Yeah,
easy days, hard days, all of it. What
all
about
of it.
just got back from
We saw Adrian and Chris.
yes, you
I,
were in Boston?
we
No,
were in Springfield, which I've never been to, and yeah, I got to celebrate Adrian and Chris, and you guys were missed. Um,
amazing.
but it was great. It was just it's the best thing is to see your friends do so well. Like there's nothing that like lights me up more than seeing friends like Adrian and Kristen watch them and like just take that space and that ownership of just everything they've worked so hard for and just watching, them just own that space. And it's like the same with you, just watching you, what you're doing. And I'm always so in awe and just, I love getting updates from Earth or Bumpsuit or just mom hacks or Chef Trunfio. And I mean, it's just so fun watching your friends like just light up the world and like have such a positive impact. And
Oh,
I'm always so inspired. It's so
I
fun.
by you. I feel like everything you do is just so beautiful and heartfelt
You're
and
so
so
sweet.
and meaningful. And it's really beautiful to watch you with your kids and the way that you're living your life and
Oh,
how you're trying to like inspire everybody to live that way. And you have, this beautiful platform now, town, to like really share those things with people. I just really love that.
well, thank you. But I feel like I don't know if you feel like this, but I get so, oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Okay,
said
good.
something together one day.
I am in. I'm
Get
in.
the garden, eggs from
In.
the
Love it all. But that's the fun thing is I get so inspired by my friends and it's so fun to be able to throw things off of each other and work together and collaborate and I love it.
I know we're very lucky. I'm very lucky to know you and have you in my life. I feel very
Same. Same. I never laugh harder than when I'm with you.
really.
Oh my God, I always like the last time we hung out, I always like even that dinner we had together, like Jared and I are still like telling stories and like laughing and remembering. It's just I always laughed so hard with you. It's you and A.
Oh,
It's so fun.
no, I don't get out much, so I think that dinner was probably the last time I went out for.
Same, same. It's probably why I'm still so giddy and high off of it. Yeah.
We need to have one of those again soon. I actually so since I've had the new baby, and COVID has happened and all that, so I haven't really been working out at all. It's hard, like when you're a mom.
Yeah.
I just went to a spin class with a friend of mine, and I was like, I'm gonna totally fail. I'll probably fall off the bike. It's gonna be horrible. Like I've never done a spin class. And I feel like this crazy rush of adrenaline. It felt like it just cleaned out the whole year of like whatever's built up emotionally. I felt like my lungs clear. I just,
Oh.
I don't know. It was very cleansing. And I think it's important as moms that we have to remember to like do those things for ourselves, right? It's so,
Yeah. Take the time that space. I think that's one of the most challenging things as a mom. I find. is to
Yeah.
find that space because there's so much guilt involved in taking that time for ourselves.
Yeah.
Um, like as if it's time away from our kids or we're taking time away from our kids or not paying attention. But I feel like if all of my attention goes to the kids, then like I'm not feeding myself, so I'm not going to be a great mom or I'm not like very patient or present. Especially moving the body. Like I don't know about you, but like exercising in any capacity helps like it shakes my brain up. It shakes all like the anxieties and feelings that I'm having and just like whew, it's so cleansing. And I might go like kicking and screaming, like just I don't want to do this right now. But the end result is so much better to be able to
Oh, it is. And then you're better
move.
too. That's like the hard thing. The more that you fill your cup, the better you are for your kids. But then I feel like as a mom, there's just so many things, like even the school emails, school events, and the school, like the needs. And, we both have three kids. And when they're little, they're just not as self-sufficient. There's just so many things we have to like constantly remember.
Yeah.
Like taking that 1 hour feels like it's too much and the guilt, it sets in. But like, wow, I feel like I could run a marathon right now.
That's such a good feeling.
It's so good.
You're ready. So okay, so what else then are you creating? What else you ready for the next burst
You,
of
my husband promised me a massage after I had the baby, and it's been like almost 2 years. But it's been COVID, so, you know.
well, I'll text you. I have someone for you.
I'm like, why don't you give me a massage, husband?
Yeah. Exactly.
That would be way better.
Exactly. I agree.
Okay, we've got some questions. We're going to both answer them. Jen and I are both going to answer these questions.
Yeah.
Like, just to, switch it up a bit. What's been our most challenging thing as a mom? You go first.
Oh gosh. I mean, I think it goes back to the guilt because
Yeah.
and you know what else is that there's nothing that can prepare you for motherhood at all. Like there's nothing that prepares you for birth. You can have a birth story, you can have a whole plan, and nothing goes according to plan. Same with like parenting. Every kid is born into a whole different family and they're wildly different. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's the most challenging is like which man, man on, who has who, what kid and that truth, that saying of you're only as well as your sickest child. Like,
Ooh, I haven't heard that one.
yeah, like, if one of them is struggling with a friend or a subject or not being able to ride a bike or whatever it is, as big or small, I feel like whatever kid is struggling the most is the one that suddenly, gets that and it's like that's the baseline. So I feel
Yeah.
like those things are, I don't know, for me the most challenging. What about you?
So, like, I think for me, there's certain things that I want to have with my kids that I didn't have with my family. And I think I'm trying to like, because everything that we've like seen subconsciously or consciously as a child is like in our DNA. It's like in our nature.
Hmm.
So we repeat those things naturally. And I'm like constantly trying to challenge myself and be self-aware so that I can like change patterns and change like behaviors. Like, I know I'm very like tough and I'm very strong and we always try and give our kids the best tools and we want them to be, have the best tools for survival, like primally. So I think I'm just always trying to like just figure that out. It's like every single day, how do I wake them up? How can I be positive?
Yeah.
How can they want to like challenge themselves? How can they be more aware? How can they be aware of people? It's like I'm like my own worst critic with parenting, but I think that just like maybe just taking it easy and just
Yeah.
present, like what you just said was really inspiring,
I've I'm
like
blanking on what I was gonna say.
like the way you nurture and you have that patience for your kids and you just nurture where they're at and honor where they're at and just let it be what it is, because that's also a beautiful journey in itself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is a journey and I think to let it go and not critique so much. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. There was like a meme or something going around on Instagram about like telling your kid to like toughen up, or just kind of like brushing over, if like they're hurt, like, no, get up, you're fine. And they compared it to like, can you imagine if your partner had an issue and you're like, toughen up, you're fine? Or, if Gary said to you, like, Nicole, it's fine, just get over it, and I didn't put that in perspective with the kids, because sometimes it's like you're in a hurry and like life is life and you got to move, we got to get in the car, we got carpool to do, whatever. But
Yeah.
having that, changing that approach of like, no, you're fine, come on, get in, as opposed to like, I hear you, that must have really hurt, I'm sorry, let's get in the car and talk about it, or whatever. And having that moment to just like listen, and I hear you, I understand, that must have been hard, or whatever.
They suck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone, and it works both ways, right? Like,
Yeah.
one of my really good friends, really sweet. It's like a really sweet thing for anyone to do. Instead of like, when you're an adult, you have the toughest shell, you've like hardened up over the years. But my friend's husband and wife, they have a photo of their partner as a child. So when the person calls, it's like, oh, you're this person. Instead of the adult version of them, it's like the child version. And it's like, we are all that underneath the hard shell. And so it's so sweet. Like,
sweet.
I said to my husband, I sent him a photo of me as a little girl, and I was like, put this when I call, because this is, it's like, it's sweet and endearing. You can really see. I try and like find the child in everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to approach things, because we all were birthed into this world so innocent and with a blank slate, and have acquired armor along the way, and chinks in our armor in different ways. And so I feel like it's also a way of showing empathy along the way too, for what people are going through or how they behave. So if someone has wronged you, in a way, it's like, that's something, or or something that might rub me the wrong way. Maybe it's because of what I've learned and putting my defenses on and their defenses, and it's like the Miguel Ruiz, the Four Agreements, where don't take anything personally, because we were born the same way. We're all,
Definitely
innocent babes.
I think that's a really important lesson to kids too. It's like if something bad happens at school, I approach it instead of being like, that was really mean of that person to do that to you. Or if it's something that someone has done, which it hasn't really happened too often yet because they're still quite young, but I say, ooh, that person must not be feeling great about themselves, because people that, act out or hurt people, they usually hurt inside.
Yeah.
I feel for that person. Are they having, maybe you see if they're okay, or if they're cool, or if they're having a hard day or a hard time, for them to treat you that way. That goes back to the thing, don't take things personally. Like, usually hurt people, and it's like, maybe their parents like weren't sensitive to their feelings that day, and they come to school and they take it out on like other kids, and it can, a lot of bullies have that kind of dynamic with their like, sometimes people just need to be checked on and like acknowledged.
Yeah, and I think with young children, that also helps with empathy and teaching them about others and how others might be experiencing and viewing the world. So it really helps take it off of them and encourages them to think about the other person. So I think that's a great approach. I'm going to start trying that more.
Yeah, actually, my son, he had an incident. I don't know how dramatic it was, because he's a little like, he kind of tells on people, like, but I think a kid a rock at him when they were in like the forest or something. And I took it really seriously, because it was the first incident that had happened. I was like, what's happening? And the school actually said this little boy, he was feeling pressure because he has two older sisters and they're doing so well, and he wasn't feeling like he was doing so well. And so when I saw my son, I was like, oh, you should just say to him, like, because they were gonna have the kids say sorry, and I was like, you should just say to him, it's cool, man, like, we can be friends, I'm pretty cool, like, I'll be your friend. Now they're really good friends.
Oh, see, that's so sweet. I love that.
Like, sometimes it's because, as parents, we're so protective over our kids, and we're like, ooh, is there somebody like messing with my kid? But I think sometimes we can take a different approach and create a new dynamic,
Yeah, I agree. And like thinking about one of these questions we were talking about, that's something that I'm not sure I expected as a parent to behave in that way. I feel like, going into parenthood, it's like, I will do anything for my kid. I will protect my child. I will, do what's right. And then suddenly you're in these situations and you're like, okay, well, I'm an adult looking at it from an adult perspective. Like, how do I help them approach this situation so that they can grow and learn these lessons young as opposed to learning them now at our age?
Yeah.
I feel like that's something, again, that you got to learn on the job. It's not like something that you could just read and understand. Like it's something I certainly didn't expect as a parent to like, oh gosh, how do I encourage kids to see things from that point of view? And like, look at this kid who like hurt your son and help him through that moment of like, no, we can be cool. And it's also like how like, I wish sometimes I took those lessons on myself. Like I wish, like, oh, Nick, I think your sound is off again. Is it working? Oh no, there we go. Sorry. It's probably my headphones. Probably me. What's something that you didn't expect as a parent?
I thought I would be like really tough because I've had to, like, I left home at 16 and I've had literally, I went from the bush to New York and I like had to do everything by myself. And so I have very little, like, I have a really little patience for anyone that's like messing with me. The best way to say it. So I thought that I would just be like, I know, kind of bullshit. But I am such a sucker.
You're
I'm the
so patient though.
sucker. I didn't know that I had so much patience. I
Really?
watched my son because he was like baby Tarzan when he was born, and I had a lot of voices in my world that were telling me how to be a parent. And I think advice for everyone out there, I don't think you should listen to anyone. I think you really have all of the information inside of you. You know instinctively what the right thing to do is for your child if you have that awareness and if you're interested in it. But I had a lot of people telling me what I should do, and I was just like, you know what? I know him. Like I know what his motivations are. I know why he's doing things. I know why he doesn't listen. It's not because he's trying to upset me or annoy me. It's because he's focused on something, like completely focused on something. And he can't, like, he zones me out. It's just the kids are just, they're not developed enough to, I think there's a lot of expectations on them that are really not practical. And I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm surprised at how much of a sucker I am and how patient I am as a parent, for sure. Like, I was like, ain't nobody getting past me. I would look at me like, I wouldn't put up with that. Like, no way. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, do you have, okay, we have this. What do you wish you knew before you had kids that would be helpful?
I think what you just touched on. I wish that I knew that I wish I trusted that I had it all in me.
Yeah,
And that's not to say like outside sources aren't helpful. I think learning about child development, understanding that, you know, every child is different and developmentally there are milestones that they hit to understand big ideas and concepts that just, at 3 years old or 4 years old, my daughter doesn't understand the world the way that my 9 year old does. So I
yeah,
think, outside resources are helpful, but as far as like what you're saying instinctually as a parent, just knowing that it's already in me and these are my children and nobody else can tell me the love and the discipline and the way that I parent is wrong or right because it's all in me
yeah,
already. And I wish I had, I think a little, when I first had my first son, I was a little, like, I certainly was confident, but I did feel, like not imposter syndrome, but just you're thrown into motherhood so quickly in a weird
Yeah.
way. Like even though it takes 10 months to develop, like it's still, and you're living with it, but it's not until you're holding this baby and you're like, I just remember when Tom was delivered and I was like, I'm so tired. I can't hold him right now. Like I just remember saying like, I'm scared I'm gonna drop him, because it's just like, holy moly, what do I do in this moment? It's so big.
Yeah,
Um,
shift. It's like you have it's all like kind of a fantasy, and
yes.
then yeah, the reality sets in. Nobody tells you like there's definitely stages, right? It's like I think the hardest stage is like the crawling stage when they
Oh
start.
God.
Oh my God, I have to like move everything out of my house.
It's like having a drunk toddler all like it's like my husband, like on a Saturday night, like toddling around and you're like, oh God. You have to like pillow every corner in the house.
Everything that could break. And, like my son, even like our TV was up on like mounted, and he took his hammer. It was like 2 days old. It was a really expensive TV too, and he just started smashing it.
Oh no.
And so we had fun. I was like, I'm not buying a new TV until these kids like
Get
not
it.
a nice one. It was just like a whatever.
Yeah. And you can't get upset too. You can only get mad at yourself because you're like, crap, I didn't see that was a weapon that could destroy my TV,
Yeah,
like you don't even think.
yeah, no, not at all. And it's like, and that you can't call the place and be like,
Insurance,
oh
please.
my, right? Like this covers that stuff. It's like you need to get your kid lady.
Yeah, get a handle, please.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
Um,
no.
okay, what is the most embarrassing moment?
Oh, I mean, come on.
Well, the first.
Oh, one time I got a ton of them. I mean, first of all, in birth, like, stuff just, I'm in a birthing tub and, with my husband and everything's just that.
And nobody tells you that either, right?
Yeah, no one really tells you that, like, when you're birthing, then everything comes out of every
Yeah,
orifice of your body.
totally.
So that was, and my husband to this day is like, remember when we were in the tub? I'm like, thanks, Jared. Just, it's like the one thing that he can't drop. I'm like, yes, you saw me poop. We're finally there. But the one of them, I mean, it's not really embarrassing, but I remember with Tom when he was like just a few months old, I was visiting my mom and they live part-time outside of in San Francisco and we were in the city and I forget what happened, but like I feel like I had just nursed, we were sitting in a car that was like being ready to be valeted, but I had a nurse or something, and so things were kind of hanging out a little bit. And my mom was like helping unload a stroller, and the stroller starts sliding down, the San Francisco hills, and somehow she ended up with the baby, or I wasn't fully zipped up, but like I jump out of the car and my boobs are hanging out and there's milk coming out and there are people watching and like you're nursing, so like sweat's dripping down, so I'm like sweat and milk and boobs and I just like by the time you don't even think, and then by the time like the situation's over and I'm everyone else seems calm and I'm the only one standing there with like boobs out and liquid and
Yeah, it seems so like I think when you're breastfeeding too, it's so natural, but when you're on the other side of it, it's like
yeah.
it's an alien thing to do. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
you're just, it's just giving my baby food, and then you don't really like think about it as much. But everyone's
Especially when you're in the moment, it's
totally,
so carnal. It's so consuming. Like you can't, it's like this is what this is for. Don't touch me. Don't, this is for my baby. And it's it's magic.
it's magic.
I mean, and there's no wrong, like zero wrong way to feed a baby at all. Like you can breast milk or formula,
Hmm.
um, but there's that feeling when you're feeding. It's like otherworldly where it's like you don't even think about it. And then now that I've come on the other side, it's like a disconnect in a weird way when you watch them. Like it's different. I mean, it's certainly you could relate to. I relate to it, but it's when you're in that moment.
breastfeeding. So in Australia, it's so normal that it's just so normal. It's
I
not.
don't know why we're so afraid of boobs here, by the
It's
way. It's
it's so different. It really, really is because I grew up watching all of my aunties breastfeed and public women feeding, whatever. There was no like weirdness around it. And then when I came here, I just like started breastfeeding at a restaurant when I was sitting next to my husband. It was just me and him, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "What do you mean?"
really?
Like, you can't do that in here. And I was like, "Where do you want me to go?" And I was like, "Do you want me to go into the bathroom, like, and sit on the toilet seat and feed our baby? I'm not doing
Yeah.
that. Why do you feel so uncomfortable?" He's like, "People don't do that here." And I was like, "Well, that's really crazy to me, and I'm not gonna not do that." And we kind of had like so many discussions about it. And like, obviously, I didn't want people to see me breastfeeding, so I would cover with a swaddle or whatever. But in Texas, it's so hot. So sometimes it's just like, whatever. You do what you can do. And it wasn't until that breastfeeding cover, the L one, that came out. And we shot that cover we were just shooting a story. And then I had to breastfeed. And the photographer was snapping photos. Just, I knew him since I was like a kid. And so
Oh,
they,
crazy.
for approval, to like approve, there was some, that just approve some photos. And that was one of them. And I just approved it. And when the cover came out, it was like a huge, massive like deal. And I was like, why? What's the big deal? And people were just so, it was just the first breastfeeding cover ever. And
It was very iconic.
it was normalizing it and all this stuff. And my husband said to me when he saw that, because I woke up and I had like tens of thousands more followers. And I was like, what's happening? And then the cover was like Instagram so many times. And then Good Morning America and all these outlets were like reaching out to me. And I was like, wow. And my husband was so grateful because he's like, now I know so many people felt like I did. Breastfeeding is so sexualized, especially in America. And I think it needed to have this movement, this normalized breastfeeding movement. And he was like, I'm so happy that this happened. And I can see why it's so important now that women are just allowed to do it as a non-sexual thing. And like we're on this journey and this path to normalize it. And normalize however you feed your baby. Some women will pump and feed them. Some women will bottle feed. Some women use formula. Whatever it is, it's like you need to just let a mom do her thing, and there should be no judgment attached to it.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that cover is, I mean, it's an iconic cover. It's just everything about it is, it's like a Madonna and her child to, just this beautiful moment of nourishing your babe. And it was like also something that you didn't even think about. It was something that you're like, yeah, I'm just taking a quick break to feed my baby, we'll continue on, whatever. And I think that's what's also so great about it is that it's such a normal moment and it's like a quick break and such a real moment to share with everybody that, you know, I think it's really important and beautiful, and I'm so glad that you were able to do that and share it. And
So wild. Yeah. I think it's I would see it as my biggest gift to women to this day, because a lot of women are very grateful for it. For that.
yeah,
I mean, I didn't have much to do with it. It was just a normal thing. But like, the fact that I think the magazine, that Elle was so brave and bold to put that on the cover, because I think they got, there was a lot of controversy around it in a
but
way.
you too for being like in a way exposed, because someone could have taken it negatively, which is absurd and bizarre, but like to be the so forward facing of like normalizing such a normal
Yeah,
thing that we do as women.
we do.
um
It's so natural and so primal. It's like not even a second thought. And that's what we're saying about, I feel like innately we have all of the tools inside us, within us, how to be a mom. And like when you have the baby, it's like this natural adrenaline and knowledge, like this wisdom just comes out in you, and you just know what to do if you're like connected and really just trust yourself and listen to yourself. And I think, a lot of people are so quick to have opinion and tell you how to do things, and it creates a lot of anxiety for moms, I think. You know,
Yeah.
all of this stuff like you should be doing this and you need to be doing this and like all this stuff. It's like you really don't need that much. You need diapers and formula or a boob. You know, like it's you can do it really simply. You don't have to have a lot of things. Um, I just, yeah, I think that we can really start trusting ourselves. I think there's so much, you know, old wisdom within our DNA that we can just start looking to and not having so much anxiety on how to do it perfect. And yes, there's things that help, you know, certain products on the market that can definitely help, but you don't necessarily need all of those things.
Yeah.
With our next thing, like a life hack, like is there a product that you think you recommend people should definitely get, is like a mom hack, like definitely something.
Well, I mean, obviously bump suits I would recommend for anybody because one, and I will say it goes from pregnancy to after, which this was literally on my floor, which is why I'm not wearing my bump suit. I put it on in carpool this morning. So I'm normally living in my bump suit because it is so great because you can be a fancy mom to a casual, you know,
I know it's so
like it's
like
gorgeous. I wore mine the other night on date night, and Jared was like, "Ooh, look at you in your sexy dress." And I was like, "It's a bump suit, Jared." He's like, "What? Are you pregnant?" And I was like, "No."
that might get you the bump suit you can wear to get you pregnant and then afterwards.
Exactly. So I will say bump suit would be my number one. Um,
Awesome, thank you.
yeah.
That's
No, thank you. But also snacks. As silly, well, water always. I think water first and foremost, but also for me, life hack. Yes, exactly. Um, Snacks. Like I am
snack.
terrible sometimes at anticipating, but like especially now as the kids get older and with like 'cause yours uh Z's in first, second? No, kinder, first.
My youngest.
No, Z. Is he
Oh,
in first?
first.
Yeah. So like he gets home and he's probably famished and like I find when like kindergarten and first grade and they're still kind of getting adjusted, they're starving all the time because their little brains are just constantly moving. So I feel like always having snacks ready and available and figuring out um, the snack that will sustain them the longest, like fruits and vegetables and those kinds of things. Usually, I'm trying to be better about having those stocked in the fridge and pantry and stuff.
One of the one we had like this parent and they were saying like you got to have snacks in the car when you pick up,
Yeah.
because when they get in the car, like when they're at school, they just forget to eat because they're so excited and they're playing with their friends and like they just like have meltdowns. And our drive is like 45 minutes to an hour. And so like we
Yeah.
have like lunch kit thing for them, like when we pick them. So
Yes.
important.
Yes. I think that's like as silly as it sounds, it's the one thing for me that was just like I didn't realize the difference between hangry and just cranky. I was like, "What are you? Why?" And then like they couldn't articulate that they were hungry, which was making them angry, and
So like,
it took me a minute.
yeah, that's a really good hack. Snacks. Get on the snacks. Like my husband, like when I bring the snacks, he's like, "Oh, you got all the snacks," and it makes me feel like a good mom, like I'm doing the
Yeah, right?
all the snacks.
Hey,
Like,
have you seen ABC Food Co?
you know,
Yeah.
bring
Have
extra.
you what?
Oh, no, I said I just bring extras for all the kids.
Yeah.
The mom was,
You need to do a snack line. Chef Trunfio needs to do like a kid's snack line.
it would be like it would be very elevated. I don't think they
Like
would like
come on, like from the farm to the
it.
farm to the lunchbox.
With a crispy pork belly with like a curried egg something. It would be just too much.
I'm in. It sounds amazing.
I don't know. I'm not very good at cooking for my kids. You know what I do
Yes, you
is
are.
They don't really like I feel like my cooking is when my husband's home in town, but what I do, what I find is a really good way to help your kids to eat is like you get the food that you're making, but you make a face out of it. So if I'm doing like a
Yeah.
schnitzel, the hair will be like chicken schnitzel pieces and then like a carrot nose and like cheese mouth and broccoli ears and like
I love it.
apple eyes.
Something fun.
They love it so much and it's kind of like it makes the perfect portions. Not too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, I agree, and it's fun.
It's fun. It's so fun
Yeah.
for them. I find like that really helps. That's a little hack. Um, Other mom hacks. And when I had the baby, like a baby mom hack. I don't know if you ever used a Moses basket. I always used a Moses.
Oh,
I love
yeah.
just
I
you just
still have it.
yeah, it's so sweet.
I know. I put always toys in it still. I don't want to
Um,
get rid of it.
I know it's something there's something really beautiful and you can put it in between, like it's a safe co-sleeping device and I don't know, it keeps them like cocooned.
Yeah.
Not that on the market that are quite big, and which I bought a couple of those and they're just too big. It's better to get the smaller ones,
Yeah.
and safer. But I always love that. I always tell moms to get that and make sure you buy a really light diaper bag, like the lightest one
Okay.
on the market, because there's so many that are really heavy and they're just like not
So big and bulky.
look good. But like the one I had for the same one for all three babies, and it's so light.
Oh,
Um, I think also like talking about bump suit is the support waist trainer so helpful like after you give birth
yeah.
just for support, to make you feel like put together again, to ground you. Even like now I wear it, or if you have, that's a crazy life hack. I think I wish I had that for my first two babies, and
Uh,
even
Same.
like so helpful and great if
It's
you don't
such
have
a game changer.
it. Really is.
There's
It really.
nothing like it. It's perfect. I wish I had bumps too. I wish you'd created it earlier, Nicole.
Me too, especially and like it's our best selling item now, and people that aren't mums buy it. They buy it as shapewear, they buy it as,
Hmm.
we have people that have like office jobs that just want to use it to sit up straight in their office, back
Yeah.
support, back surgery, working out. It's great for fitness, for working out. So it's so good. But that's a definite mum hack, life hack for sure. Makes you feel like I just feel like a superhero when I have it on. When I have it on, I feel normal, and then I put it on, I'm like, yes, I can
Yeah.
do it.
Same. I feel
It's
like
so
an adult, like I'm sitting up straight finally.
exactly. And when I don't have it, I just feel like blob, like a jelly blob. um. Oh, yeah. This is a really good question for you. What do you do that's more conscious around the house for your family and environment? You do a lot, huh?
Well, I mean, I try to. I start. That's why I started town because I wanted to figure out ways to be more conscious and environmentally friendly. And that for me really just meant connecting to the world around me and encouraging the kids to connect to the world around us and around them. So what I like to do is, I don't know, nature just feeds me and it fuels me and it's something the kids really enjoy doing. So around the house, what we like to do is just have potted plants that they tend to or they pick out. Sometimes we'll get like toys that they can put succulents in. We have on this patio, we have a little herb garden that they do, and then we have like lettuce grow and stuff like that. Those are like the big things that I feel like anyone can kind of do. And then we obviously have like we kind of go the extra with like the bees and the
Oh,
chickens and stuff like that because we have the space for it. And I don't know, I really feel that so much of our mental health and our health in general has to do with what we put into our body and having the connection to our food and where food comes from and understanding and nurturing that food, the soil in which we pull the food out of, and all of it. It's so interconnected and it's not it's not just, I'm not, militant about it because we live in the modern world, but where I can be conscious of it and helping the kids also understand where it comes from, you know, that we can get eggs from the coop and we have honey from the bees and vegetables
Yeah.
in the garden and stuff like that. It's my jam. That's where it gets me excited. And I love like learning from what you're doing too, because I know that we're like similar in that capacity of
Yes.
gardens and space.
I'm
And
actually, I'm getting the same coop as you built on my ranch.
I love it.
Chicken roost, is that what it's called?
Yes, I think
Look,
so. Yeah, yeah, with the little dome, like it's so
yeah,
cute.
yeah, because we needed it because, you know, we were having free roaming chickens, but there's lots of predators
I
in the
know.
coop. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not predators that are like breaking into the pen. It's like eagles that are flying above them, swoop down and grab the chicken, and it's like, whoa, that's
They're so bad right now. We've had six in the last like 2 or 3 months, six chickens taken
really.
like pop. Yeah.
Do you let your chickens roam or do you keep them in the coop?
I keep them in the coop because it has a little like free range area that, and then we just pull them in. But
So taking them.
what's that?
What's taking them?
Well, I don't. I have the coop, but then we have a little enclosed area that we let them out to roam. And
Ah,
so we've had hawks come down and swoop down, and it's a small area. It's kind of shocking. But
what?
I know, I know.
Yeah, oh my, like the chicken thing is so traumatizing.
It is.
I
Do you get
find
upset?
when something happens to them, like we all are devastated.
Oh,
So that's why I'm like, okay, we're going to put them in this coop. We're not going to let them out, which is sad because I loved having them free roam, but for their own
yeah.
safety to be.
I've had to stop naming them because we've lost so many. And then I started stuffing them when they did pass away, and they were like, because it's just
What?
so. I tell you this? I thought you knew. I stuffed my
Wait,
chicken.
Debbie?
Yeah.
You're joking.
I thought you knew that.
No, I didn't know that.
Oh my God, I'm gonna send you a picture. Yeah, it's a
I got
long story, but
that.
yeah. One of them got into an accident. Like took her to the vet, and my $2 chicken turned into a bit of a project, and then after everything, the vet's like resuscitating her, and I was like, oh my God, we've just spent all this money at the vet. Like, what do I do with Mr. T? And so I told Jared what we spent, and he was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is a $2 chicken. And so I was like, I know what I'm gonna do. So I stuffed her. But the worst part is like a a friend of mine saw her in the attic and put her in the bookshelf without telling me or telling the kids, so the kids didn't realize. And so they walked downstairs one day and she was sitting on the bookshelf. There was some explaining to do, but like one of my kids was like, that's not Mr. T. Those aren't her eyes. I can tell.
Oh my God.
It was pretty.
Wow, so they had no idea that you did that. That was the
I
introduction.
didn't.
The new
Yeah. Yeah, they're dark mother. Yeah, they're just like dark humor. I mean, I just yeah. There's I. It is the. It's so gross. I'm so gross. But they're really pretty on the mantle.
I bet. And I remember, yeah, I remember the chicken, it's like a thing, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
like,
it's tough. And then during the pandemic, a couple of them we got some more chickens, and then they ended up having Merrick's, and they gave it to the whole crew. So then I had all these like gorgeous like the Dominique chicken with the beautiful black and white feathers and the cochins and the like they were so pretty and they were just like dying. And so I don't know. I didn't know what to do.
oh man, well, like our chickens right now are living in the stable, which is like
Oh,
crazy to put chickens in a stable, but I just couldn't handle what was happening. So they're safe, but we're
yeah.
taking them out and putting them in this coop today.
Oh,
So
fun.
hoping things go better.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just hard if you're not able to tend to them every single day, and
yeah,
we're busy, like we're running around. So if you miss a chicken, it can be, and the kids get really attached. Like in the beginning, they're all named, and if you miss a
yeah.
chicken, and it's traumatic.
Having the kids look after them is really good, and taking them the food and getting the eggs. It's like giving the kids like a responsibility is like to see them. It's just hard, I think, for kids too, because they don't want to eat anything. Like we have some fish, and we have like a little pond on our ranch, and
Yeah.
they're like they freak out, and it's like this is so good. We're cultivating our own food, but I don't know. I've become vegetarian now.
You have?
Yeah, because like I see things from their perspectives, and I'm like, you're
I know.
right. And I'm
Yeah.
like, but I think meat's great as this. I think if we all lived as like hunters and gatherers, we'd probably eat meat like once a month, right?
I would imagine. I mean, you know who's really a great resource? The guys at Rome Ranch. They are near Fredericksburg, and they do regenerative farming and raise bison. And this whole movement of regenerative farming is like super interesting and fascinating to me about just the cycle of like why we need to eat and cultivate animals, but it's all about the whole animal, not a piece of an animal, and how we raise that animal and understanding that whole process. That
Mm.
to me makes sense. Um, if you're gonna eat meat, but it's hard to how we source our food, and why it's tough when it's also it's less expensive to eat a certain way, and but it's not sustainably, and
Yeah,
anyways, but
conscious about it. Like, different people have different reasons why they don't eat meat or how they eat. And I think we
mhm.
all look back to nature and the environment. It's just yeah, just be conscious about what we're doing, and I think just honor our food, and like just be aware of where it's coming from and what we're putting into our bodies and the energy we're putting into our bodies. It's as much as
Yeah,
we can. The world is really set up for us to be like fully organic or sustainable or conscious about what we're eating yet, but I think the more that we just educate ourselves and try and learn is like just so important, right?
I agree.
Is so important, and how you're creating a platform to educate people about how to be better, or how to kind of get more knowledge, and just nurture your family in a way that's like more
Well,
positive,
thanks.
you know?
Well, but thank you. But I feel again like it's talking to my friends, it's talking to you and learning what you're doing and how you're doing it, and then passing the message on and paying it forward. And it's talking to our community, and because it doesn't, I'm certainly not an expert, which is why I created Town in the first place, is because I'm not an expert in sustainability. And in some ways, I was really embarrassed to even start it, because I felt like I was a fraud, because I'm not 100% sustainable. I'm sustainable-ish, and I want to be sustainable, which is why I created this, because I'm like, well, okay, well, most of the people I know want to be, and
Hmm.
but it's impossible to be completely. So how do we live? How can we pay it forward, and how can we live more consciously and sustainably in a way that works for ourselves, to make a bigger impact on our communities, on our families, and get more connected to nature where we can. So I don't know. I think it's just by chatting and by being curious, and
Yeah, and maybe like building up our own, like you have bees. I really want to learn about bees and do that, and how the bees
you would
pollinate.
love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like excited to learn. I think community is really important to just share with your neighbors, and also like swap things. Like maybe someone's good at something and someone's growing something, and you can be like, I'll make you a table if you make me my veggies this week or something.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I love that system.
old school kind of
Yeah.
approach. Like it's community building again, like knowing your neighbors and just, you know, being
Yeah.
a bit cool with things, you know.
Yeah. Exactly. What?
It's really beautiful. It's like
It
a
is
beautiful
beautiful.
distance. You know, I live out on a ranch, and our ranches are like acres of each other, and I have this woman that I absolutely love and adore, Miss Sarah, and she's, you know, probably if I lived in a city, like I wouldn't meet someone like her, but man, she's like one of my favorite people I've ever met in my whole life, you know. She's
Yeah.
awesome, and I'm like so lucky to have her around, and she knows so much about, you know, living on a ranch and surviving, and she's helped us out of like sticky situations so many times.
Totally. Totally. I love that. And you have to learn from people who, like they've been doing it a while, or your ancestors, like family and generational, and like, we got to keep passing that to our friends and family. And
Definitely.
yeah.
Keep nurturing relationships with our neighbors and our community is so
Mm,
important.
totally.
What's another question we have? I feel like oh, this is a really beautiful one. This is one that I want to really know because I feel like you do this. How do you, like, what are things that you do to cultivate a close relationship with your kids?
Um, I That's a great question. For me, what I do, because I try to get as much, I try to carve out alone time for each of them.
Yeah.
And some weeks it's different, like some weeks I can carve out a date night, and one of my kids will get a date night alone with me and alone with Jared, and we'll take that time to just wherever that kid wants to go. Other times, more likely it's just up at night reading a book. And for me, what that looks like is just scratching when my kids loves their back scratch. So it's scratching their back and just chatting. It's like the one time we get together that's like intimate, where I actually get what's going on in the day. Like if I ask him like, what happened today? Nothing. But like at the end of the night, we're having our moment, and he'll be like, well, and this and this. And then my other kid, one of them needs just like, he needs to be moving and doing stuff. So we'll be playing a sport. And he's like, so just finding that time, whether that's like 20 minutes to an hour. And I think not putting the pressure of or expectation of it has to be
Mhm.
an hour, it has to be, a trip, or, it just can be like 20 minutes to an hour. Maybe it's 5 minutes, but just, I like to try and get individual time with each of them so they feel heard.
Yeah.
And so I feel more connected too. Like, I want to know what's going on with you today, and how are you feeling, or what happened, and what about you? What do you think?
But that's like the thing that parents say is like just being one on one with your kid is like really important. We don't, I mean, we've started to get that time, but like having the three, and my husband's away a lot, so I'm just kind of
Yeah.
like figuring it out. We don't really do the one on one a lot yet, but that's like
Well, it's
something
hard.
important to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so, because I'm in a similar situation, I would also do different bedtimes sometimes.
Yeah.
So maybe two of them get, like the older two, because Tom and Shep are 7 and 9, would get to like stay up an extra half an hour while I'm putting Odette down, or maybe they're also reading Odette a book and practicing their reading, and then I get like 10 minutes putting her down, or um and it's sometimes hard when they're really little, but
Yeah.
trying to figure it that's such, you're in the thick of it, and it's so
I
hard,
mean,
especially with
that's
like two babes.
that's why I'm really inspired by you because I love watching you with your family and with your kids and how present you are and you know how
That's
your
so
kids
sweet.
are present too. So sweet. Wow. Like so sweet. Your kids
Yours are.
of you and Jared are so sweet and so like kind and so nurturing and it's just so beautiful to watch. It's so inspiring.
Well, thanks,
Absolutely.
babe.
It's like,
Same.
you know, it's a gift to be able to witness that. you know, because it's really inspiring. It's like a lot of us don't, you know, we don't all have, like, I just find that the biggest inspiration is leading by example and watching people that are just doing their thing. Like, you don't even have to tell me certain things. It's like, I can just see, I can see it, and it's so inspiring, you know?
Thanks, babe. Same, likewise. I mean, I love when our kids get together, and I love being around you and Gary, and you're just, similar. It's like we have these really strange lives in a way, but it's our reality, and sort of like trying to be as consistent and present as possible, all the while like running around with a chicken with her head cut off of like feeling a little bit like nutty and just trying to make it all work. And it's nice having that community of moms and families who brings all different things to the table that we can bounce life off of, and
Yeah.
advice and questions and stuff. So
Yeah. And
I feel so lucky.
even though our lives are abnormal, making them really normal. Like, I love that
Yeah.
you drop off and pick up with your kids too. It's like, as busy as you are, as busy as I am, it's like a really important thing to do.
I love that.
And I love those moments with them. It's like,
Yeah.
you get so much out of those moments.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. And I will say I do live for embarrassing my kids a little bit. We saw Leon Bridges last night. Yes, I love it. Like I saw Leon Bridges last night at the ACL Live taping,
Yeah.
and one of the people in his, oh my God, like mind blown. So good. So beautiful. And I brought Tom to the concert with me last night, and one of the women in the band was, I mean, I guess she's the only woman in who was singing with him, but she's just gorgeous. And she had these like sequin pants on that
Yeah.
were like to die for. And she's like just the way she's moving, and she's just gorgeous. And I'm like, Tom, I have to get those pants. Can I get those pants and pick you up at carpool? And he was like, are you kidding me? That is so embarrassing. You can't. And I was like, oh, challenge accepted.
Amazing.
But anyway, you need to go see these pants first of all. And I don't know. Secondly,
Love her. Her name's Brittany. She has a shaved head, right? She's been
I
with
believe so. She had a hat on, so I couldn't tell.
she's been with Leon for a while. She's amazing. She's got the best style.
Oh my God. Like this beautiful crop top.
Amazing body.
Oh yeah, she had her stomach. I was like,
Shout,
damn,
shout out to Leon. Yeah.
truly is
I know.
amazing.
The other night, I went a few nights ago, and I didn't even care because, I haven't been out in so long. I didn't even get to go to my husband's concert because he is in a bubble, and it was just too emotionally like hard for me to just do that. So I went
Sure.
to Leon, and I was just dancing kind of like in my own zone the whole night. I didn't really talk to anyone. I was just like, yes, I'm out. This is so good. The
Love
music
it.
was good. It was amazing.
Yeah. Love that.
I love to so much. We're gonna hang out like one of these weekends.
I love it.
And we have to like jump to go to pick up.
Go, go, go. Love you, and
Back to
thank
mom
you
life.
so much. And everybody, I
love
love
you.
Nicole, but you have to check out Bumpsuit. You can thank me later. It's so comfortable, and chic and fun and cool, and please check it out.
Have like Jen has a 20% off code for all of her followers.
Yes, and I'll make sure I post it.
It's now in Jen. Now
Yeah.
in Jen. We have it linked for you guys. So there's so much for joining us, Jen.
Thank
And
you.
and I will see you so soon.
Love you, love you.
With the babies too.
Yay.
Awesome. Thank you, my love. Have a good day.
Love you, love you. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.